Have you ever stopped to think about the words you use every day? What if I told you they aren't just words, they're actually ancient artifacts? Yeah, that every time you speak, you're using something that carries a secret history, connecting you to people and ideas from thousands of years ago. Today, we're going to crack open one of those secrets.
Okay, so take a look at this. On the left, you've got the ancient Sanskrit word punk, which means feather. And on the right, our modern English word pen. Now, they look nothing alike. They sound nothing alike. They come from completely different worlds, separated by millennia. So how on earth could they possibly be related? Well, that's the puzzle we're about to solve together.
The connection is this absolutely wild journey through time. So it starts in Sanskrit with punk, but it turns out that both punk and its Latin cousin penna actually trace back to a single much older word, a Proto-Indo-European root, punk, which meant something like to fasten or attach. So in Latin, penna came to mean feather, the thing that's fastened to a bird's body. And that Latin word penna is what eventually gave us the English word pen. Why? Because the very first pens were, of course, quills, made from a feather.
And let me be clear, this isn't just some nice poetic coincidence. No. This is a documented historical shift. You can literally watch the idea itself evolve. It goes from the natural object, the feather, to the tool that was made from it, the quill, and finally to the modern pen we all use today. The name just stuck around, long after we stopped using actual feathers.
So this one little word mystery, it kind of blows the doors open to a much bigger question, doesn't it? I mean, how is it even possible that languages from ancient India to modern-day England, separated by these vast stretches of time and geography, can be so profoundly connected at their very roots?
Well, the answer lies in this idea called cognates. The best way to think about them is like linguistic cousins. So, pen doesn't come from punk. Instead, they both descend from the same ancient ancestor. They just share a common origin, the same way you and your cousin share a grandparent.
And that shared linguistic grandparent? It's a reconstructed, prehistoric language that scholars call Proto-Indo-European, or PIE for short. And PIE is the ancestor of this enormous family of languages spoken all across Europe and Asia, including Sanskrit, Ancient Greek, Latin, and English.
And once you see this pattern, you see it everywhere. It's not a fluke. Get this. Take the ancient PIE word for mother, which sounded something like mahater. You can literally hear its echo down through the centuries. In Sanskrit, it's matar, in Greek, meter, in Latin, mater, and finally in our English word, mother. It's amazing. They're all part of the same family. This is direct evidence of our shared linguistic DNA.
Okay, but that brings up another obvious question. We don't have any recordings or books from the people who spoke Proto-Indo-European. It was gone long before writing was widespread. So how can we know any of this for sure? Who are these detectives who are able to piece together all these ancient clues?
This is the incredible work of etymologists. These are the pioneering word detectives, scholars like the Reverend Walter Skeet. What we're looking at here is the title page of his groundbreaking dictionary from way back in 1882. It was one of the first truly scientific attempts to trace the history of English words.
And in his preface, Skeet pretty much tells you just how hard this detective work was. He says that before his time, a lot of etymology was just guesswork, which created this total mess of errors. His mission, and the work of others like him, was to bring real scientific rigor to uncovering the true, provable histories of our words.
The level of precision here is just incredible when you think about it. If a culture can preserve something as fragile and invisible as a word over thousands and thousands of years, it really makes you wonder, right? What else can a civilization preserve, and how do they do it? And this question takes us way beyond language and deep into the very philosophy of history itself.
So let's compare two totally different ancient approaches. In one corner, you have a civilization like ancient Egypt. Their whole philosophy was about preserving history by locking the physical body away in stone. And in the other corner, you have ancient India, which took a radically different route, preserving the essential story in living memory, stone versus story.
And the reason for this huge difference is philosophical. For the Egyptians, the belief was the soul had to return to its specific body, so that body had to be preserved no matter the cost. The pyramids, the mummies, that wasn't just art, it was infrastructure for eternity. But in contrast, ancient Indian thought saw the body as a temporary thing, just a worn-out garment you eventually discard. So why would you build a permanent stone house for a temporary guest?
So really, it all boils down to this. The two civilizations were trying to solve completely different problems. The central question in Egypt was, how do we preserve the body forever?
But the central question in ancient India was, how do we escape the cycle of bodies altogether? Their entire approach to what permanence even means was fundamentally different.
This is so crucial. When people wonder why we don't find these massive, perfectly preserved palaces in ancient India like we do in Egypt, they're kind of asking the wrong question. The absence of those giant stone structures isn't a sign of a missing history. It's evidence of a philosophy that was successfully lived, a philosophy that valued the continuity of memory far more than the continuity of masonry. So it means that if you're looking for history in a stone civilization, you dig in the ground for tombs and statues and physical stuff. But in a story civilization, history is encoded somewhere else entirely. It's alive, right now, in the precise recitation of mantras, in rituals passed down for generations, and in the incredible power of oral tradition.
And that brings us right back to where we started, full circle. Our words are so much more than just tools we use to communicate. They are living artifacts. They are the ultimate expression of a story's civilization's history, carrying the genetic code of ancient ideas, forgotten migrations, and the philosophical DNA of our ancestors.
So, the next time you write with a pen, or talk about your mother, or use any of the thousands of simple, everyday words you know, just stop and think for a second. You might just be holding a piece of history in your hand, telling a story that's thousands of years old. And it makes you wonder, what other invisible histories are hiding in plain sight in the words you use every single day?